Now, Janet Street Porter is on the loose, heading out and about across the country with her first solo tour for a few decades or so, I think. She joins me on the line now to tell me what she's up to and how she's going to be entertaining her audiences. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks very much. I'm doing a tour for the first time in 20 years because I thought a whole generation has grown up who haven't really seen me on the stage. I originally did a one-woman show. I think about 2005 or 2006, after I'd done I'm a Celebrity, because I'd written a couple of memoirs, one about my mum called Baggage, and another one about going into journalism and ending with punk in 1976. So I thought I'll add some new material to the books, I'll update them, and I'll do a show about what's happened since then. So that's about it. So I'm now a pensioner. I
And how did
wasn't
that
then.
happen? Come on.
I can't believe it, Jason. How am I a pensioner? It doesn't seem right.
It's not. I mean, you're going to go on forever, which is, I think, the important part we need here. Because when you're a legend, when you're broadcasting everything that you've done, sort of behind the scenes, making TV happen, editing in the world of press. I mean, you are just the epitome of somebody whose career has been so widespread that there isn't a person working in the world of broadcasting today who can't have been touched by your expertise in some way.
Yeah, usually when people come up to me and say, "Oh, I worked with you back in the day," I always say, "Did I sack you?" Or, but actually, the truth is, I didn't sack people. If I was going to let someone go, I got someone else to do that job. But I also ask them, "Was I horrible to you or was I nice?" Generally, things are all right. Sometimes people say, "You asked me to do some very weird things." Or one person said to me, "Well, you interviewed me standing on a chair changing a light bulb." That was because I was in a very cheap office and it had a light bulb that I could only reach by standing on a chair on a desk. And I couldn't stand being in the dark anymore. But yeah, people have got all very, obviously, varied memories of working with me. I am a bit of a colourful boss, I will say that.
I can imagine that, but equally, I mean, you're someone who's been there, yeah, on TV throughout my whole life, and I can't. People, even if they don't like you, they don't dislike you. I think that's probably the important part, isn't it?
Well, I never really think too much about whether people like or dislike me because the fact of the matter is this is how I am. I can't change it now. It's too late. I've really enjoyed being on Loose Women, and sometimes I say things and they just can't believe it. Like last week, they asked me, "Can you remember any of what were your marriage proposals like?" And I said, "I can't remember." And then I had to
There's
think
been
about it,
four
and
of
I
them.
did. I know, but then Jason, I admitted I can't remember any of them at all, where they took place, what happened, who said what. Um, because I think the way I explained it left them all even more flabbergasted. I said I just think that I've got married like as a result of a kind of we've had a chat, we've just thought, oh well, why not? And they were just hoping I'd say something romantic and lovely, and it just came out the way it was.
Is this the fact that you're more practical than romantic? Is that what's going on here?
I am very, very practical. And yeah, I'm very, very practical with that. And also, well, I trained originally as an architect, and I was going to be an architect, and I took a year off to get a grant to do a scholar work in to go to university in America. So what happened was that I started in journalism a bit as a temporary thing, thinking I'd do it as a year, and I was on a teenage magazine called Petticoat, which I had a lovely time on because I was immediately given 2 pages to fill every week with my ideas. And then at the end of that year, the Daily Mail offered me a job as deputy fashion editor, and I was given a column. And I was in my early 20s, so I was kind of off. That was it. And from then on, I've always done two or three jobs at once. And I just love working in the media.
And I think the media loves you as well. Again, it is part of that knowing what you're thinking thing. But equally, I think it's because there's considered opinion and you're not somebody who's caught out easily.
No, I think the other thing is, Jason, I've worked across all aspects of the media, so I haven't specialized. So when I started in journalism, with my background in design, I also wrote about architecture and the arts. So I didn't just restrict myself to writing about one particular thing. And then when commercial radio started in the early 70s, I was on LBC from day one. And then I went into television kind of, I was guest on other people's shows, and then I was asked by London Weekend Television, which became ITV, to do a show for young people in 1975. And that was just the most brilliant time because there was a lot happening musically, punk happened. There was a lot of young people felt hard done by, unemployment was very high. And I think that was a great time to be making those kind of programs. And then after a couple of years, I soon realized that being a presenter wasn't how you got things changed. I needed to be a producer and write the actual formats of the show. So I went down that route for the next decade, really.
But always happy to do a complete U-turn on where you are when the next project that you believe in comes along. And I think it's that belief again, isn't it? You're not somebody who does a job because it's there as such. You're somebody who does a job because you believe you can make a difference with it.
I think the thing about me is I'm very driven and I get bored easily. And I want, the other thing is that during my career, I've tried a lot of things out. I haven't been afraid of failure. And I've also been made redundant. You know, I've done some real clunkers. I've created some shows that have worked brilliantly and I've won awards, but I've also created some things that have, gone in the bin. Let's put it that way.
That's a part of though being innovative sometimes, though, isn't it? If you can't innovate without a failure or two along the way.
Oh no, and you've got to recognise what when things go wrong, you can't make them suddenly go right. You can't tinker around the edges. If they're clunkers, they're clunkers. They don't work, so move on. And I think it's as you get older, the lesson I've learned from my career that I kind of try to apply to my life is don't try and age like gracefully, age disgracefully. Do what you want, what makes you happy. And I never thought I'd be a pensioner. Now I am a pensioner. I get really annoyed that the word pensioner is always in the news connected to some negative thing like, oh, why do pensioners cost so much? Why are pensioners clogging up the waiting list? It's almost like being a pensioner isn't seen as great by a lot of the news media. Whereas I think there's another way of looking at the last part of your life, the last third of your life, which is it's an opportunity. It's not a negative thing, it's an opportunity.
Well, there's the opportunity to hear your thoughts, your rants, what you do and don't like as you head out on tour. You've got various gigs across Midlands as well. First one coming up is at the Rose Theatre in Rugeley. That's on the 6th of October. Then you're at the Crescent in Birmingham on the 22nd. I've missed out Much Wenlock on the 21st, so you're around quite a bit then. So tickets can be grabbed for those. And then into 2026, you're actually at the Stafford Gatehouse on Monday, the 2nd of Feb. So you're going to be sharing your thoughts. And I note some of these venues. I mean, obviously, you've got some big venues on here, but again, you're not afraid of taking it to a smaller venue where you can really share this show up close and personal with your audience.
Yeah, I think I like doing small venues where I can see all the audience. It's really funny looking at the ticket sales because I see that people are scared of sitting in the front row. And I don't know why. Um, I think when we did the Loose Women tour, and we did big venues like the London Palladium and various city halls and so on, I thought, well, on the one hand, yeah, you've got over 1,000 people here, but on the other, they're quite a long way back from us. And I wanted to go back to performing in a whole range of places, from small theatres to art centres because, as someone who's going to be on the stage by herself, what I learned from the first tour is you need to feel how the audience is feeling and react to the kind of audience that you've got. And in the second half of the show, the audience can ask me anything they like.
And I should think there's a fair few topics to pick up on, whether it be your Welsh speaking budgie or anything else that's happened since you've been in the media.
Yeah, absolutely. People always want to know what was my most embarrassing moment. Well, there's quite a lot of those. It depends which ones just popped into my head. So, but obviously, in my life, with four husbands and quite a few blokes along the way, there've been some very, very embarrassing moments and a few disasters and a few nice times too. But my life has been nothing if not colourful.
And may that colour long continue, and may you bring it to the stage and impress and wow with a live and uncensored night. It is Janet Street Porter on the loose. Ticket details, that'll be mostly through your website, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, janetstreetporter.com without the hyphen, so it's all one blah blah blah.
Okay, and of course we can find you on Insta and X and pretty much anywhere else
Yes.
that you turn on the TV, you wait 10 minutes, there's either going to be a cookery show or you doing a cookery show. It's going to happen, isn't it?
Oh well, now I'd like to apologise to everybody listening to this for my terrible appearance on Catchphrase because I think I've gone down as the worst contestant of all time. But generally on the game shows, I have done well. I've won quite a
But
few.
it's quite unusual because you normally do say what you see, and on that occasion you didn't manage to.
I couldn't. Do you know what? I think my brain is just wired up wrong for Catchphrase. But the producers said they'd never laughed so much. It was just tragic watching me trying to understand it.
Well, have you ever done Blankety Blank? You might fit in better there.
I did well on Blankety
Did you
Blank.
see? That's it. This is it. It's all good stuff. Janet Street Porter, a pleasure to speak to you. I'm glad I'm not on the end of your ire, but the many have been, and I'm sure you will tell tales of those who are during your tour as you head across the UK from September onwards through into 2026. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jason.